So let's just delve now into what some of the issues that we found at Brighton. And this is ongoing work, okay? So this is very much kind of work in progress. So it's a major new facility. And what I put to the program director was a vision for how we could move towards a low-carbon world. And my thesis is this, that we need to start this process through planning on into design, construction, and operation. And what I mean by that is that we build forecast models based upon known information at each stage of the process. And what we're doing at the early stage of design is forecasting the actual outturn energy performance. For those of you who are familiar with energy performance certificates and display energy certificates, this is about saying, okay, we understand why EPC is around, but fundamentally the client really needs to understand how this facility will perform in use. So what we're doing is forecasting, based upon the decisions made at an early stage, what the energy impact of those decisions would be. And we put that into what we call a whole facility energy model. So I've now introduced another concept. We've got occupancy analytics, a simulation model that works out the processes and where people will be, and then it translates that data into energy consumption terms and carbon performance. And so what it's doing, this vision, is about working with the clinical teams to understand the processes that they need to use to give best clinical outcomes, but giving them the understanding of what the carbon impact of those processes are. Now, how many of you in this room could say, actually, I understand what the carbon impact of our working practices are? Can anyone say that at the moment? Hand on heart. I don't think anyone can actually, because we don't have the data to do it. But what I'm saying is, through occupancy analytics, understanding how the facility works and then being able to translate that into energy terms, we have the tools available to do that. And that's why I say this is a fundamental new approach to planning and design of facilities, because we now have the data in order, or we will have the data, I should say, to do that. Is meeting those groups that David Pension talked about, finding the people who are most inspired to this way of working. That's what we're doing at the moment. And we're building them in a user reference group. And you know what we're talking to them about? How we can empower them with the information that they need to make the informed decision. It's their decision about how they operate the facility. We're just giving them the information. And how we could build that into some kind of performance management, but incentivize them to do something different. I reckon most people, if they knew that what they were doing was having a certain impact and they wanted to improve that impact, they would want to do something different. We know that from working in our own homes, don't we? You know, if our kids are leaving the lights on all the time and we see the energy bills coming through, we want to do something different. Occupancy analytics enables us to understand from a departmental perspective, from a functional perspective, what is going on and what the carbon impacts of those are. Now, that's really powerful thinking in a sense, isn't it? It's a really powerful information that we could empower people with real quality information about how they're using their department and get ownership at departmental level. Rather than having to rely upon ENCODE, which says, for this new trauma facility, work on 45 to 55 gigajoules per 100 cubic metres an annum, we're saying that is archaic. What should be happening is I've got a new facility and it's going to be made up of XYZ functions. I've now got benchmark data for XYZ functions. I could therefore expect, building bottom up, not top down, what this new facility, how it should be performing. But we don't just have the what of the data, like a DEC will give you a display energy certificate. We now know why the energy is being performed. So now we can have a sharing of best practices. We did this and this was that outcome. Isn't that the dialogue that we actually need to really understand how to drive down carbon performance? We strapline Conclude, we call it informed decision making. I don't have an axe to grind about this. We give the customers the data, the information, they make the decision. And when they've made the decision, we then explain what the carbon impacts of that decision are.